Did you know that over two-thirds of the world's new wealth was held by the richest 1% of people? Nearly twice as much money as the poorest 99% of people worldwide. This startling difference between the gap between the rich and the destitute has people wondering what really divides them. In this video, we'll look at the key characteristics and practices that separate the wealthy from the poor. Young boys John and David both went to the same school and grew up in the same neighborhood. Despite having similar upbringings, David was always more ambitious even though they were both intelligent and capable. After some time, when John and David are both grown up, John chose to spend his leisure time with his friends and watching TV, whereas David spent the most of his time reading books and acquiring new skills. David went on to graduate with honors when he graduated from a famous university, launched his own firm, prudently invested his money, and today enjoys a comfortable home, a dazzling automobile, and all-inclusive trips across the globe. John, on the other hand, found it difficult to find employment after high school and eventually dropped out of college. He worked various jobs without ever truly finding his calling or generating enough money to get by. He still resides in the same tiny flat and travels in the same worn-out vehicle from college. What then was the actual difference between David's and John's education? David was aware that to achieve his objectives, education was necessary. He was willing to put in the time, effort, and money required to get the greatest education possible because he thought that investing in himself and his future was important. Eventually paid off, David had the competitive edge he needed to achieve because of his schooling. John, though, thought he could get by with just a high school diploma and some fundamental job skills. John's lack of education constrained his options and kept him from succeeding goals. The lesson here is clear. Education is the key to success, and it's never too late to start. Number one value against time is too late to start. John works days at a store. When paid hourly, however, he has little control over his compensation because he can only be paid what his employer will allow him to. David began a little business making goods for others to purchase. He runs a home-based business creating and selling handmade furniture online. He also runs a blog. He offers tutorials and ideas about woodworking. David's income is not constrained by the amount of no matter what time of day or night, he can sell his goods and earn money from posting. The wealthy are aware that building wealth requires selling value, not time. If you still need to be paid when they are finished, they develop assets that can do so. Persuaded? Let's take a look at Jeff Bezos' 1994 founded Amazon.com. The business was established despite not having Bezos in person, the company benefits from his experience and vision. People with low incomes, on the other hand, commonly sell their time for cash and have little leverage. They exchange their time for cash and have no control over how much they earn. This restricts their earning potential and makes it challenging for them to become affluent. Third, accountability. V's blame. John ascribed his lack of contacts and the state of the economy due to his poor income. He felt helpless and gave up on his aspirations. David, however, nodded in agreement, taking ownership of his flaws. He sought out guidance and considered failure as an opportunity to learn and develop. Those who blame others for his failure adjusted his strategy, and his business eventually proved successful. Their flaws frequently result in a downward cycle of disappointment and annoyance. On the other hand, successful people understand that failing is a normal part of the path and employ. They use it as inspiration to push themselves even harder and don't let failure depress them. Consider them as opportunities to advance your knowledge and skills. David is an independent contractor for having full control over his time and efforts. He enjoys the independence and inventiveness. Despite the hazards and responsibility that come with being his own boss, he makes a concerted effort to increase the value of his business in order to produce revenue. Nonetheless, handmade furniture and a blog. John works in a business and receives a steady salary, but he has a stable employment. He is constrained in his ability to manage his time and obligations at work. His employer's policies and procedures prevent him from being as innovative or taking as many chances as David. John worked hard to make a living, but he lacks David's capacity for wealth generation. Compare and contrast entrepreneurship with employment. It exemplifies what a wealthy person is. Healthy and unhelpful environments. David surrounds himself with successful business people who motivate him to take chances. Ingeniously and diligently to accomplish his goals, they also provide him with advice and direction based on he can make better selections for its handcrafted furniture business thanks to their own experiences. John, on the other hand, hangs out with pals who are constantly griping about their employment and financial troubles, which depresses and discourages him as a result of his negativity and lack of motivation. lacks the motivation to make the necessary changes to his financial condition and pursue, we can increase our chances of achieving his ambitions and cultivate a more favorable and empowering mindset by paying attention to the people and settings we spend time with. That is what really differentiates 6. Deliberate versus impulsive choices. Making wise choices separates the wealthy from the poor because successful people are aware that even seemingly insignificant choices can have a big impact on their lives. They thoroughly weigh the pros and disadvantages of each choice before making any decision. Take David as an example. He constantly thinks about the long-term value and impact on John. On the other hand, foolishly makes impulsive purchases without first checking his finances. His "you only live once" mentality may give him quick pleasure without his considering the repercussions. To overcome a false belief, however, it might also result in long-term financial uncertainty. Must be proactive and make choices that are consistent with your long-term objectives. To succeed financially, keep in mind that being proactive is the key and that fast gratification might be a trap. 7th, fixed versus growth mindset. What is the primary distinction between John and David? Had different perspectives. David was a persistent achiever who never content with mediocrity. He pursued excellence in all he did. David believed that his intelligence and skills could be strengthened and developed via study, work, and goal setting. He viewed challenges as stepping stones to great achievement. He was constantly motivated to learn more, take chances, and investigate new possibilities. John, on the other hand, believed that his intelligence and skills were fixed, so he made little effort to learn or progress. He also thought that difficulties were a waste of time, and he preferred the security of a consistent income over taking chances and following his passions. David's growth attitude helped him extend his product and take his business to the next level. Line built a devoted following of customers, invested in new tools and supplies, and made use of his using user input to enhance his offerings. His company saw exponential growth. On the other side, John was locked in a rut. He never followed his passions or took chances and was satisfied with his employment, which barely covered his costs, and never strove to advance his abilities. Might seek out new opportunities in order to avoid returning to his pre-existing circumstances. As David's furniture business expands over time and his blog gains more readers, more partnerships between advertising revenue and brands. Additionally, David has some of his money in stocks and actual estate, contrasted with John's struggles to save money due to his flat income. Years later, when costs are still rising, David will have numerous sources of income and become millionaire, whereas John barely makes ends meet. Streams. David's talent is what led to his success, to find diverse sources of income that would enable him to invest and amass wealth. On the other hand, John had limited opportunity to create wealth because he only had one source of income. The key point is that the wealthy understood the advantages of having several sources of income. They have diversified their assets and cash flow, definitely having several income streams as a result. Sources of income can offer financial security, investment opportunities, and wealth-building possibilities, whereas the ability of poor people to create wealth is limited by their reliance on a single source of income and are more susceptible to financial difficulties. Don't only believe what we say. This is also according to IRS data. The average millionaire has 7 sources of income, which is supported by study. The wealthy can be distinguished from the impoverished by their willingness to compete and use it as a catalyst for innovation and progress. David continuously looks for methods to make his products better and set himself apart from his competitors, using his rivals as inspiration to always better himself. Works to enhance his abilities. John, on the other hand, is scared of competition and has a negative attitude towards it, avoids it completely. He is afraid of failure and does not want to take any chances that can endanger as a result his financial security. John loses out on prospects for development and financial improvement. It is crucial to understand that healthy rivalry can exist and can inspire you to get better and reach new heights. Self-improvement. One characteristic that separates the wealthy from the poor is their attitude towards bettering oneself. While many individuals believe that success can only be attained after obtaining a degree or finding a secure job, the affluent recognize that personal development is a lifelong journey. Do you know that the majority of self-made billionaires dedicate at least 30 minutes each day to their hobbies? Whether it be through reading books, attending seminars, or learning a new skill, they place a higher priority on growth of oneself. Why is this so important when the world is continually changing? There are constantly fresh opportunities developing as things change. Putting money into oneself raises the likelihood of achievement and financial success. Don't stop after accomplishing your goals or settle for mediocrity. Instead, continue working to better yourself so that you may recognize and seize these possibilities and enjoy a better financial future, and observe how your financial success follows. Keep in mind that the road to success is a never-ending one. The rich from the poor can now be distinguished. Gentlemen, but hold on a second please. To choose which factor, in your opinion, will change the game. Embracing a growth mindset or education competition, please express your opinions in the box below. We look forward to hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Wealth Wizards. Remember to share this video with your friends and family. Thank you for tuning in. We highly appreciate your time and support.